Hello, my name is Jacob.
And I'm Devin, and you're listening to School is in Session. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about if the national government should have control over schools or should it be up to the state governments. What do you have to say?
Should the national government have control over schools or should it be up to the state government? I think personally, the government should have control over the education because if you leave it up to the state, there will be no consistency. So every state education would be different. Also, what happens if someone moves to another state? Then it's like they're completely onto a new learning way, and it's just completely different for them. And also, the expenses on the Department of Education, if we were to just move to just states and just give them the control, we'd have the Department of Education with all the money we put into it, we would just be wasting it if we just moved to that, and there would be no reason for it. So it would just be sitting there doing nothing. And the states to be in charge, it would just be too expensive. It doesn't make any sense for that to work like that. So moving on to, so the Department of Education, the mission is to it's to give money to the schools that need it, and that's what helps them. So to round it up, the national government should have control over schools, and I think it is more likely for the country to work better if the national government is running it, just because there's people in charge that know what to do, and it just makes sense.
Huh, very interesting. Well, we'll let you guys think about what he said, and we'll be back in about 12 seconds. But that might not be the whole story. I've done some research, and I think Jacob has it all wrong. We as a society have accomplished many things with our state being in charge of what happens in schools. Our education has advanced in the past 20 years, giving more opportunities to children with higher education. Although schools and colleges' prices have increased due to the growing demand of rising financial aid, lowering stat funding, the exploding of cost administrators, and the bloated student packages. But now, we have an education only getting better and better as time goes on. So I ask you this, isn't it worth it to pay a little more so that our current and future generation gets the best opportunities? Or would you rather have the federal government raise the price of school tenfold just because they can? The federal government has risen the prices of things like taxes and gas. So what's stopping them from rising the price for schooling even more than it already has now? Now that you've heard both sides, Jacob, which side will you take?
My personal opinion on if the national government should have control or if the state should have control, me personally, I think the state should have control because it's better coordination, and the states are run by like even if the national government was in control, it would the schools are still run by local bodies, and that's who represent them. So there's no point like trying to reach the national government. They won't be able to do anything and change anything, or it really doesn't make much sense. So all in all, I think state is better to be in control.
I do believe that we should stay with the state government being in control. But having the federal government fund our school programs will help significantly, not only for the children doing what they have always dreamed of and now having the best education, but teachers should also be able to receive much better pay with the federal government's money being implemented. That just about wraps it up for us here at Schools in Session. On today's episode, we've learned that sure, the national government has the money for the funding, but the coordination will be off with the federal government being so far away from each institution. They won't be able to control every school in the United States, and it would be impossible to be able to monitor every single school. And the national government doesn't have a good record on just raising prices in general. So if the federal government has all of the control, they could raise the pricing of school to its insane lengths. Thanks for joining us today. Signing off for Schools in Session.
Jacob
And I'm Devin. See you next time.